Are a foreigner in China, then chances are you are among one of those three big groups of foreigners that I've gotten to see as a foreigner myself in China who's lived here for now 10 years and who has now coached for about 7 years different groups of foreigners and different types of foreigners around different areas and stages of life. There is a special weight loss, health, and fitness program for each group of person. So what are those groups that I'm speaking about? The first group basically is the students. The second group is the workers, the full-time professionals, and the third group are the entrepreneurs, the business people slash parents as well from time to time. Those are some of the most distinct group of expats that I saw here in China. I'm not saying that those are the only groups, but those are the most distinct and prominent, as well as I guess a majority of people just always fit into those groups no matter where they're from. They either have already gone through one of those groups or have gone through all of them or something similar to those. I myself, for example, I used to be a student here and then I went into being a full-time worker, then I went into being an entrepreneur and working for myself. So I have a good knowledge of pretty much what are the different stages and what are the changes and the settings of life and how things look like at each one of those groups. And at the same time, the fact that I've worked myself with people from those groups have gotten me to really be super acknowledged about how to help them and develop the right systems to empower them in their journey. Okay, so again, the first group are the students. This is usually, you are around that age range of 15 all the way up to 25 maximum, but sometimes it can go all the way up to 30 as well. This is when you go to university. You came to China either to study for a bachelor, a master's, or a PhD. You either decided to study in Chinese, you either decided to study in English, you are on a scholarship or not on a scholarship. And so this is the stage of life that I clearly remember. I used to believe that I was stressed. I used to believe that I was anxious. I was like, new country, new city, new life. I need to do my best to crush it and to get super good grades. I need to write the best thesis defense ever. I need to write the best book ever to present to my supervisor. I used to think that I knew what stress was. Like, I used to think that, oh, this is real life. This is now where I become an adult. But this was in 2017, by the way. I came in China in 2017. And little did I know, because 2 years after that, COVID came and then lots of disruptions happened. And then I got thrown into the real adult life of having to work, having to pay bills and stuff. And that's when I realized and discovered what real stress was. But anyway, we'll go into that later. But all that I'm trying to say is, if you're a student in China, if you just came, or if you are at your second year or at your third year or whatever, and that you feel like you are currently being overwhelmed, trust me, that is just something that you have led yourself to believe, because you are actually in the best period of your life. This is a period where your rent barely costs 1,000 RMB per month, which is huge. Okay, let me tell you that. I remember I used to pay, I believe, not even 1,000 per month. I used to pay around 3,000 per semester at my dorm when I used to live at my dorm. So the cost of living when you're a student are so low. You don't really have big responsibilities. You don't necessarily have anybody to take care of. You're just looking after yourself. You just, go eat, wake up, go to class. When you go to the campus of your university, you have access to everything: canteen, food, running track, gym. So it's a phase where you are overwhelmed, but in a very right way, because your main and only priority is to study, to get good grades, and to avoid from going to jail. Because during student days, we know how we used to act reckless. So I'm gonna start with this. The best kind of plan that you need here in China as a student is not a plan, it's a mindset, okay? Because the truth is, it is a stage of life in which you can really attack all sorts of very big fitness goals. You have the time, okay? So you can allow yourself to, like me personally, there's a phase where when I used to study, I used to wake up and train in the morning, and then I would go to class, and then I'll come back in the evening and I'll train again. I did not have any issues at all with sustaining that because I did not have anything else going on for me. I just had to show up, go to work, go to study, sorry, and just make sure that I was not being a dumbass in class, and then eat, cook my food, and then I just had all the time in the world to do a bunch of other stuff. So energy, time, attention, level of responsibility, priorities, you don't have many of them, meaning that you have all the time to invest into whatever kind of fitness goals you have going on. If you are in that age range of 20 to 30 or even lesser than that, and that you are still in a stage of being a full-time student, do not go easy on yourself, right? This is something I tell to my younger clients because I currently am 31 years old. I work with, again, clients from every stages of life. Most of my clients are adults who are between their 40s to 50 and stuff. But from time to time, let's say 20 to 30% of my clients are around that younger age range. I do not go easy on those. Like whenever they slack, usually I call them out like, hey, I understand you messed up, but I'm gonna remind you, like, life is not gonna get any less busier than this for you. It's something that if you're a student watching this, you need to remember, right? If you consider that having to sit down and do research, try to write a paper, try to finish homework, try to go somewhere for educational visits, having to get in group with your classmates to do some sort of homework, if you feel like that is the fact that that is being busy, and if you feel like that is stressful, try having kids, try having a relationship that you wanna, get married, like a person that you wanna get married. Try having a work on top of that. Try having real people being ready, like relying on you and being ready to cut out your throat whenever you mess up at work. Try having that, because this, I tell you, this is real life stress. What you have right now is stress from having and living a new life that is slightly a level above what you used to have when you were back home. So it is stressful. I don't deny that, because I myself, I used to be anxious when I first came here. But again, quickly I realized that it's kind of a very manageable type of stress. So mindset is what you really need if you are still a youngster coming to China, and that all that you have to do is study. It is not going to get any less. Like, this is the easiest moment for you to work out and to go hard into your fitness goals and to not make any excuses at all. Learn everything, do everything, like try to really go hard, like train super hard. This is the prime time that you need to take advantage of. So what I usually do for my clients whenever they are in that stage of life where they have the time, not much stress, they are pretty young, they can be pushed, they can be challenged, is, hey, we're gonna work out a minimum of 4 times a week. We're gonna keep your diet very, very, very strict for almost 7 days a week, minimum 5 days a week. We're gonna keep your diet very strict, and we're gonna keep you moving, because you live on campus, you have access to the track, you can walk around the compound of your school. You also are on a budget. Usually, as a student on a budget, you have limited funds to use on a monthly basis. So that means that you don't necessarily have access to all of the good stuff. You don't have access to like, well, I guess one restaurant that every foreigners in Beijing and also in China might know is Blue Frog, Annie's, Caesarea, those kinds of restaurants, and other kind of like more pricier restaurants. You don't necessarily have access to that good food all the time, meaning that you actually don't have access to overeating too, right? Because that's where shit gets serious. When you start to make money, when you start to work, when you start to get busy, that's when you start to like be more tempted to give in all of that stuff. But as a student, you're limited in budget, and so that means that most of the time, most of the food that you cook is gonna have to be food that you fetched from the convenience store, and that you make, and that you cook, and that you prep in the kitchen of your dorm. So like, it is never gonna get any easier than that in terms of priming and ensuring and optimizing your fitness journey as much as possible. So again, do not neglect or underestimate this phase, because whatever you build for yourself and whatever you build of yourself, and in terms of health and fitness during this phase of your life as a student here in China, is also what is going to follow you for the rest of the years, whatever your plans are. If you think of staying in China to work later, if you think of having a family, or just kind of finding some sort of higher level of life, whatever you do here right now is what is going to transpire and what is going to follow you and transition into the long-term side of things. Okay, like look at me personally, right? So like when I first came 2017, I already had ambitions of creating a community of around fitness, right? And so, because I was always very strong and very deep into fitness, I used to do some part-time coaching ish back home, and I knew that I wanted to do something once I arrived here in China. And so, on the side of my studies, I was working out a lot. I was trying to learn a lot. I was trying to document, and I was trying to educate myself on, nutrition, fitness, and all that stuff. And I also started to post on social media in order to start growing a reputation and to get known. Sooner, I mean, later on, surely, like surprisingly, I started to be able to gather a community of other students. And at the dorm, like I remember, I and my cousin, we had a community of other foreign students that we were training on a weekly basis, and it even came to a daily basis type of thing. Like we had a community of students who were following us. And later on, that same community of students kept posting what I was doing on social media with the students, which have gotten me to be noticed and to be hired later on for my first very official job as a coach, a group class coach. From there, I kept working as a coach a little bit everywhere around Beijing, China. Then I got to a level where I was able to now become an entrepreneur and start my own online coaching company, and here I am today. So I would say that my life can be an example for you and can be a proof and inspiration to you of the fact that, like, it's really what I've built and the habits that I've had when I was still at the university that have led me here. So again, do not neglect this huge time window. You don't need a plan, because any sort of plan will work for you. You just need the mindset, and you need to understand that you are in the best phase of your life. Which brings us now to the phase and the stage of life number 2. So you came from wherever, like most of the time, like you're either from South Africa, you're either from the UK, you're either from the US, you're either from Canada, Australia, and you came here in China as an English teacher. Like that's literally one of the most common thing going on at the moment. And there are other jobs, obviously, but I'm just really trying to generalize things and isolate what I believe is the most common thing that everybody here knows when in the expat community is the fact of becoming an English teacher. And by the way, a quick pause on the whole topic of being an English teacher. A good percentage of the people that I work with are also English teacher working in international schools, training centers, and those kinds of things. And it seems from lots of my interactions that things are becoming quite hectic recently. I have clients who, like, it's usually one of two cases. The first case is they are fulfilled, all right? They are well taken care of, well paid, well housed, well accommodated, and the workplace is amazing. It's paradise. The other case is they are overworked, underpaid, and left with literally no sort of option for them to win. And if that is you, then I hope things get better, but also something that I try to tell my clients is that there's no amount of money that will ever be able to buy back your peace of mind, right? Like if you have the choice between staying in a school that treats you like shit and leaving to find better occasion, even if leaving implies having to leave the country and go somewhere else, I genuinely think the latter makes more sense, because I'm saying this from experience and because of some of my interactions with my clients. It's really hard out there for some educators. So just throwing out there my advice, like if you are going through it right now with your school, I firmly believe that there's not an amount of money or a certain type of status or quality of life that is worth living in a toxic environment at your school. It's not at your school too, but again, like there are other areas of work and department of work and category of career that foreigners have here in China. And honestly, guys, it's not worth it. Like it's actually one of the smaller reasons why I decided to work for myself, because as I was working with other people during my coaching career, I could see already that there were some how do I say it? It was not toxic, it was not bad, it was not unhealthy. But I guess one of the main reasons why I decided to work for myself was I just hated having to listen to someone else tell me what to do. Like literally, like I just had a problem with even if that person was right to teach me something, I just had a problem with listening to what they said. I'm like, I want to live on my own rules, on my own terms, and just having to teach me things via courses, via content, and via certifications. I don't want to have to listen to someone else. Like, that was actually one of the main driving factors that got me to leave the full time working for someone else type of life to start my own company. And so, a big rabbit hole here, but all that I'm trying to tell you is if this advice can help anybody and can connect with anybody out there, if you have the occasion, and I know that you do, you know, then find something else. Even if you're gonna get paid less, even if the conditions of whatever accommodation or benefits are less good, nothing is ever gonna be worth your peace of mind. So if that's something that you can do, then let's start there. And the reason actually why I'm being a little bit more insistent on this specific topic is because of the fact that one of the biggest thing, mostly me working with teachers here in China and working with other professionals in that age range of, let's say, 27 to like the late 30s, is what has really been one of the biggest obstacle to allow them to be successful in their goals was the stress and the toxic aspect from time to time of their workplace. And so it's actually important to, when you go into the work life, to really know how to set boundaries, to really know how to choose the people that you open up to at work, to really know how to choose your job too, even if it's usually something like you never realize how crappy your job is unless you start and unless you're 6 months deep in. Like that's kind of like the bad part of this. And so I know for a fact that sometimes I have a client with the best intentions in the world, but every time they go to work, they just get hammered like crazy. It's like they don't have any rest, they don't have any they're not being given any credits, they're given more work than what they need. And so that's the type of thing that after that naturally creates an instinct of needing reward and needing comfort, and pretty much an instinct of not being willing to take care of themselves, which then gets into the whole uh, struggle with craving, struggle with drinking, struggle with self-sabotaging habit, struggle also with pretty much self-discipline. So it's actually a big thing. So as we looked earlier, whenever you're a student, the best thing that you need to work on is your mindset. You need to really have a good and deep appreciation of the fact that being a student here in China and not having much responsibilities at all, not no bills to pay, mostly if you're on a scholarship, you're pretty much you carefree. It's like you don't have any issues. You just have to show up, not be a dick in class, and maybe get your HSK3, whatever is required of you now. Or if you're like me and studied in English, then things are really, really free and open. So do not take it easy on your goals. All right. Any plans will work. You just need to have an appreciation of the fact that you are able, right? Do not let anybody or yourself convince of your otherwise. Second thing is when you are in that work kind of life, one of the main disruptor of your journey is going to be stress. And this has become even more harder to kind of handle because of the fact that you were just a student who upgraded to that life. And so just the same way that you came from home and then you upgraded to being a student and you believed that the stress of being a student was a lot, going from a student also here in China to starting to work full time in China is also going to give you an amount of stress that is going to feel a little bit overwhelming, but that is not impossible to manage as long as you know how to set boundaries with your workplace, right? That's going to be the first thing. If you really happen to be one of those many people, because again, I have these conversations all the time, who just don't have any options. If your workplace here is crappy, if everybody like just does not want to compromise with you, when if you cannot speak Chinese and people just push you aside, if you always hear comments about the parents and if you get criticized and if you just eat shit, and if on top of that your contract is written in a way where you don't have an out, and if you really just need to just push through and white knuckle through things, stress management, sleep, recovery as much as possible. Because another big reason why, and this is kind of like a transition towards what I just said, one of the big reasons why sometimes usually lose themselves after they come to China or after they start working in China is because everything is so overwhelming, plus convenient, plus now this person also has money to spend on bullshit. Like when you were a student, you were broke. Even if you wanted to go drink and go get drunk, yeah. I know, I've been there, right? Back then, by the way, we used to be, invited for free in as foreigners in nightclubs, and we used to just be given drinks for free. I'm not sure anymore. I don't think they do that anymore. But what I'm trying to say is, before, as a student, if you wanted to kind of like have fun and chill out, you weren't really financially able to do so. But now, as a worker, and with the convenience of things here in China, with everything being open at every hours of the day, and with you being now kind of in a position where you can afford a few more things, it can become easy to fall in the trap of self-rewarding, self-comforting through food, through drinks, and through whatever other activities, right? And so very important for you to learn to manage that part and to manage that habit. And the mistake that many people make is they try to manage it by fighting against it. They try to manage and they try to build discipline. They try to like look at themselves in the mirror and just shout some words of affirmation. Bro, if that really worked, then nobody would have had issues with their body weight, with their body image, with their habits, with their fitness, with their weight loss. That doesn't work. Trying to look into a mirror and trying to shout yourself that you're the best, your mom did shout it, but it didn't help. You still struggled at some point in your life. You still were put through situations where you actually realized that you were not the best. So shouting affirmations, trying to convince yourself that you're disciplined, that January 1st, I'm going back on track, etc. It's not the real solution. We all know that the reason why you failed in the first place is because there has been frustration, stress, anxiety, fear, worry, insecurities that you kept suppressing, that your day-to-day life has always been punch in your face with, and that you never really took the time to address or to manage. So that's why the concept and the topic of stress management, recovery, and pretty much self-care is going to be really important, because it gets your cortisol levels down. When you are in the workforce, when you are, when you have to wake up at 6 a.m. and then take a call it Didi and go into the subway and stand in front of, like, pretty much squeezed like a sandwich in the subway with everybody else, when you have to then arrive at work late, when you have to listen to your supervisor telling you, hey, you need to do better, when you're in the middle of a class and the kids don't listen to you, when after the kids not listening to you, you hear you have a parent call you and to tell you, hey, you suck, you gotta do better with my kid, and then after that, at the end of the day, you receive a message from back home telling you, hey, this sibling is sick, we need help, etc. It can be easy to have one of your brain cells starts to light up and starts to tickle, and pretty much the simple way to explain this is cortisol level, right? Our daily life as workers here in China are full of stress. It's something that we cannot underestimate or neglect, and it's something that you always have to prepare yourself a shield for, because the truth is that stress that I spoke about just now, that routine, that overwhelming routine with tons of challenges that you go through, it's only gonna get harder. That's the truth. Remember what I said about being a student. If you think that having to write a thesis is stressful, if you think that having to go to work is stressful and is a lot, and if you think that having to, pay your own bills is stressful now on the level of being a full-time worker, it's gonna get way much more stressful than that. Trust me, we get in there. The third group, the third group, that's the real deal. Okay, so again, it's around mindset here, and also another thing that I would really insist on is, if you are a full-time worker, and this applies to actually all the categories, the three categories that today I spoke about so far in the video and that I'm going to be speaking about, do not skip breakfast. As an expat, working full-time in China, navigating the very fast-paced work-life culture, high-stress work-life culture, or the study life culture, if there's one thing that you always and consistently need to be aware of, is the fact that your body is utilizing fuel on a day-to-day basis, on a regular basis. And so you cannot afford to go and start your day without having any sort of fuel in the morning. All right. Do not skip breakfast. I'm not a fan of skipping breakfast anymore. All right. I myself used to be a huge promoter of intermittent fasting. Again, going back to what I told you earlier, that moment of my life where I was studying and I was working out all the time, and that I was going hard on my goals, I actually did a weight loss journey kind of thing, during which I did a combination of intermittent fasting diet, zero carb, and I was working out 2 times a day. All right. So back then I also believed in the power of fasting, but later on I realized, hey, not eating anything in the morning actually deprives me of energy. All right. And as I'm super active, my body gets depleted of glycogen and all of his resources. And this thing leaves me super hungry at night, which makes me really struggle to resist from ordering bullshit. And that is something that I see with many busy clients too. Okay. Whenever there is someone who tells me that they struggle with appetite and hunger at night, it's usually because they have a combination of a very hectic lifestyle, bad sleep, stress, and also mostly lack of proper fuel and proper food in the morning. All right. So do not skip breakfast. And now you're gonna ask me, what type of breakfast are you supposed to eat? It's not supposed. It doesn't have to be heavy. You just need to make sure that you consume at least 20 to 30 grams of protein through either a protein shake, through either some eggs, through either some tofu, if you're a fan of that, through either some Greek yogurt, and then you add a little bit of healthy fats to that. You probably will have to cook your eggs with olive oil, because I mean the eggs already have fat anyway. You would probably need to consume some sort of nuts, some sort of chia seeds, like very simple basic stuff. And then your carbs will also have to be in the form of low glycemic index carb. It's very important for you to consume low glycemic index carbs in the morning, because if you consume high glycemic index carb, it basically means that you are going to get your blood glucose to go up super fast, and it's going to crash super fast as well, which is going to leave you sleepy and drowsy and low and slow during the morning. But if you eat low glycemic index carbs, which means you're going to eat them and they're going to slowly release in your bloodstream, then it's actually going to keep you full. It's going to keep your gut happy. You're not going to have any sort of roller coaster of blood sugar at all, and you're going to be able to stay sane and safe for the entire rest of, I mean, for a long enough part of the day. So low glycemic index carbs, for example, we have overnight oats. High glycemic index carbs, we have banana. You know that this is why banana is such a powerful fruit to eat before a workout, because it gets that energy rush, that blood sugar to go up, and it helps you to deploy and to release as much energy as possible during the workout. This is also why oats, if you didn't know yet, are one of the most powerful and also one of the most popular breakfast food ever, because that's just how good they are in the morning, and also they stay very long in the bloodstream, so they keep you full and they keep you sane. Okay, so usual breakfast that I would recommend to my client is gonna be some form of eggs, some form of oats, some form of fruits, and then some bites of healthy fats, and also stay hydrated during the day. All right, so big thing, if you are a full-time worker, do not skip breakfast. Try to be really religious about stress management, recovery, and self-care, and don't go too hard on your workout routine. All right, you need to understand that the more responsibilities pile up on your day, the more energy is being used for those things, meaning that the less energy and also the less time you start to have for yourself, and you need to be smart with that. All right, I totally admire and respect people who, on top of a full-time job here in China, still find time to hit the gym in the morning, or hit the gym at lunch in the campus of where they work, or hit the gym in the evening after work. But I also think that is not needed to be done every day, right? I'm a big fan of, you work out today, you hit your entire body, you rest for 1 day or even 2 days, and then you hit your entire body again. On those rest days, you stay active, you hit a high step count, and you make sure to stay on top of your protein intake. This has worked wonder for my clients because it's less intimidating, it feels like less commitment needed to go to the gym, and also at the same time, it makes them less fatigued. So when they're less fatigued, They are able to recover faster in between the workout. They don't feel drained when they go into work the next day after a kind of like a heavy back-to-back succession of workouts, and they are able to kind of maintain some sort of balance. Now, am I saying that working every day is gonna give you less gains than working 3 times a week? 50-50, because again, working every day is a good stimuli, is a good way to challenge your body regularly. But also, if your recovery and your diet is crap, then you're gambling. If you work out every day and that you sleep like a beast every night, and that your supplements are on point, that your hydration is on point, that you eat at least 30 to 40 grams of proteins per meal, and you do that 2 to 4 times a day, that you don't have stress, that you pretty much stretch on a regular basis, that you really are dialed in, basically that you are a unicorn, because no expats here at all are able to do that from experience, then sure, working out every day is gonna be great. But we all know that that's not how things work. Usually the person who works out every day after that is too tired and too busy to even think of ordering the right food, is too tired or too busy to even think of stretching or drinking enough water, and then the entire routine, self-care, physical recovery goes through shit. And guess what? That is going to impact first your workout, and now you're going to be more exposed to risks of injuries. And when you get injured, well, you stop working out, and when you stop working out, you lose the motivation, you lose the momentum, and then you become a lazy person who struggles with the disciplines to hop back on the wagon. You see the cycle here? It really starts with starting this new life, being busy, and acting as if you were still that student who were on a scholarship and who still had all the time in the world, but completely forgetting that up here in the second level and group and category is already a different life that requires more of your energy, and that you need to downgrade a bit, but you're still gonna go hard, and then you're gonna hit a wall, right? So now we know that if you are a student in China, you got all the time in the world. Do not go easy on your fitness goals. Do not go easy on any sort of self-development goals, by the way. You have the time, right? If you are between your 15 to your 25 to your 30, and that all that you need to do is study, show up in class, you have the time, you have the space, you have the bandwidth for everything. So do everything. Do not avoid any challenges. Whatever you build during your student times are going to follow you during your working time. And in the working time, the next big focus that you need to have is self-care, stress management, and also recovery, because this is where you'll realize very soon that you have lesser time than once you were a student, and you also have more responsibilities and a little bit more stress. So if you don't dose that properly, you'll burn out. And the way for you to avoid burning out is to always know how to take it easy on yourself and to not skip breakfast, which now brings us to level 3. This is one of the most challenging groups of people that I've had not challenged. This is one of the most challenged group of people that I've gotten to work with here as a coach in China. It's the high executives, it's the big bosses, it's the leaders, it's the managers, it's the parents, or also it's the parents who are at the same time one of those things. This is real shit. Okay? You think that having to wake up every day, show up to class was hard. You think that having to wake up every day and go study and go work and clock in at 9 and clock out at 5 was hard. Try being someone who has to wake up way earlier than that at 5 every morning, and someone who has to sleep later than that every night, and who goes to work and who has at least a bare minimum of 20 to 100 of people to lead in that workplace, to then have to come back and take care of one spouse and a minimum of 1 to 3 kids. That's real shit. This group of people is the group of people that really taught me patience, because obviously from a background of myself being a student before and being in the second category, which is the category of full-time worker, I was still I'm a pretty driven person myself, so I've always managed to through each areas of life that I've been to just always find that grit and that time to prioritize my health, my goals, and my fitness. And so when I started to like hang out more and to like interact more with this third group of people, I had a hard time at first understanding what lack of time meant. But then I tried to like just understand them better. Like, hey, tell me more about your day. Like, how exactly does a day look like? Like, you really don't have any free time at all during the week, like from Monday to Monday on the go. They told me everything and I understood. Like, those people, the leaders of this world who work here and who pretty much live here in China, for them, lack of time is a real thing. And it's actually one of the biggest lessons that I try to teach that group of people is the fact that if you are on a weight loss journey, in that stage of life that you are in and that you try to consume some fitness content from a fitness influencer, then you're going to create lots of distortion between your reality and no, between your expectations and what is your true reality. Because whatever a fitness influencer, whatever a person that pretty much has that time, and whatever someone says about having to show up every day, having to get work done every day, having to stick to the plan every day, it's hard, okay, to really keep all of that together while running a company or while being one of the left or right hands to run that company internationally, and while running like a whole group of people, and again while coming back home with a family that waits for you. It's hard. Some people manage to do it. It's those people that we see on YouTube. You got Alex Hormozy, very popular American entrepreneur. You got Dan Martell, Canadian. You got who else? Tony Robbins, I guess, one of the person who invented coaching practically. You got those people who, I mean, I don't know too. Like, who knows what's the truth? But apparently, they wake up early. They have time to work out. They have time to be fathers. They have time to be husbands. They have time to run 10 companies in one day. They have time for all kinds of things. But then, too, look at Elon Musk, the biggest and the richest man in the world. Doesn't necessarily look super healthy. Like, he's got a bit of a belly, and you can see that he's always in his thoughts, like when you look at him. So there are basically two big groups of leaders, and you have to choose what do you feel is what makes the most sense for you. Are you going to be the leader who is like the actual 1% who really can do everything all at once, or are you going to be the leader who, I'm not saying that you're going to let yourself go and also grow a belly like Elon Musk, but at least to be mindful of it, because this is actually something that happens. Most of the people that I work with who are in that age range of 40 to 50 and who also have those managerial and leadership roles and positions also are the ones who struggle the most with belly. And guess where that comes from? Stress, cortisol, reward mindset, and lack of self-care, which is why it's really important between your 25 to 35, while you're still at that level with no kids, with just a full-time job and nobody to rely on you yet, that you are really becoming religious about taking care of yourself, because the stuff that happens to you in your 40s and that you don't like about your health are usually a result of the stuff that you used to neglect while you were in your 30s. That's pretty much what I see here with working with expats in China. The ones who are younger, from 20 to 30 years old, what they really struggle with is to know what to do. Like, they don't really know exactly like what plan, what diet, how to adjust to China, etc., etc. And they need a kick in the ass, like most of them. That's how I usually coach the young ones. The ones between their 30s to their 40s, they're not necessarily struggling with their body. They could lose a 10 to 20 kg of body fat, sure, but the big problem for them is consistency, it's lack of accountability, and it's to find something that match their lifestyle, because that's just how hard it is to adjust and to get up to that level after you used to be a student. And then the people in their 40s to 50s, the executives, the leaders, the big bosses and stuff, what they struggle with the most is big belly and alcohol consumption and stress and pretty much very, very chronic levels of fatigue because of pretty much what their life implies. And so, what I work on with those people is I actually don't even tell them to do any sort of diet. With the adults, with the third group, I don't teach them any diets. I teach them a process called lifestyle restoration, which is a matter of learning to live right again, learning to eat right. No need for a diet, no need to eliminate food. Do not ever think of eliminating one food group. Every food group can serve you if you consume them the right way, whether that is carbs, whether that is fats, whether that is proteins, whether that is fruits, whether that is whatever. It can all help. The last thing that I ever want to tell a client to do, if they are in this age range of 40 to 50, is that there's one food that you cannot eat, blah, blah, blah. No, because guess what? They are family people. They are someone very high valued in their professional life. They have gatherings at least once or twice a week. And you just cannot throw them in some sort of plan where now they are going to have to pay attention to a specific food group. It doesn't work. What works better for those people is a flexible way to approach dieting. What I usually do is we either create a strict meal plan during the week or a strict caloric limit during the week, a strict selection of food to eat during the week, and then on the weekend, we set a caloric goal, a caloric limit, and we give them freedom to eat what they want, but it has to respect this caloric limit. Because, newsflash, that's how you lose weight. Weight loss does not really pay attention to what you eat. To be fully honest with you, like you could, there's one very famous study which was called the Twinkie diet, if I'm not wrong. It's basically someone whom ate only McDonald's for several weeks every day and who lost weight at the end of it, right? The person lost weight because like eating McDonald's only. Why did they lose weight? They lost weight because they made sure that they were in a caloric deficit and that the McDonald's that they ate were not more than what their body needed in terms of energy for the day. However, this does not mean that now you can eat McDonald's and go and lose weight. Because you will lose weight, sure, but weight loss does not mean fat loss. Weight loss also does not mean that now you became a fit and healthy person. Weight loss does not always mean that now you are a better version of yourself. Some people lose weight all the time, but they become crappier version of themselves. Like shit. Like have you seen the whole Ozempic revolution? Ozempic has created two groups of people: the ones who became super aware and who now really pay attention to their lifestyle and everything else, and the other types of people, whom most of them, by the way, have also started like worked with me as a result of this. They experience all sorts of side effects like gut stress, constipation, chronic fatigue, loss of muscle, and plateau because of slowdown of metabolism. So hopping on any sort of weight loss injection, weight loss support, weight loss journey does not guarantee that you are going to become a healthier version of yourself. There's a big difference because that person on the Twinkie diet, he lost weight, but his level of cholesterol, if I'm not wrong, and his level of body fat also increased because of the crap food that he used to eat, right? So this is why it's important, whatever weight loss method you choose to do, guys, to always prioritize quality of food in some way. Prioritize quantity and quality of food, because if you lose weight by doing a caloric deficit and eating shit food, you will lose weight, but you will also damage your body in some way. You're not gonna look or feel the best way possible. If you lose weight by doing a caloric deficit and also by eating high quality food, you will lose weight, you'll feel good, and you'll retain lots of muscle, right? You are really gonna be a healthier version of yourself. If you lose weight by doing a calorie deficit, by eating high quality food, and by eating a high protein diet, you will feel your best, you will look your best, you will lose belly fat, you will lose body fat, you'll fit in your old clothes again, you will forget every issues and every struggles that you ever had with hunger, craving, and all kind of other things such as muscle loss, muscle stiffness, soreness, and injuries, which is exactly what I teach to the clients in the age range of 40 to 50. High protein, no caloric deficit, high quality of food as much as we can, and on the weekend or whenever we have a social gathering, we have some fun, but we make sure that we limit things, we keep things moderate, and we make sure that we respect a certain caloric limit. And in terms of the workout, same concept as with the second group, which means 2 to 3 times a week will be enough. Anyone who leads a company here in China and who also is a family person, a mom or a father, or who just has lots of things to handle on a daily basis and who has long days, I don't send them to the gym more than 4 times a week. I prefer them to train hard once, rest for a minimum of 2 days, and then go and repeat again. And if they ever miss a workout, that's fine, because guess what? We have already trained all your muscle groups, right? This is why I'm a big fan of full body workouts for the most busy expats, for the most busy foreigners, because there is a workout routine that is called the split. The split basically means you split each muscle groups through different days. So on Monday you're gonna do maybe the chest. On Tuesday you're gonna do maybe the shoulders. The next day you're gonna do the arms. Powerful training technique, right? But what happens if you do chest on Monday and then Tuesday you get called by one of your Chinese suppliers? You have to go check them out. You have to go on a business trip, you have to go meet clients, you have to go to a fair, you have to go to the HQ of your international company here, you have to travel. You missed 3 days of workout. So that means you missed the shoulders, and then you missed the arms, and you missed the legs too. Then you come back from your trip, you only have Friday, Saturday, Sunday left, I guess, if my calculations are not wrong. And then you only can do, I don't know, calves or abs. So you pretty much lost an entire week of workout because of your business trip, which happens all the time, which is how you avoid that is by going to the gym and make everything count, and by training on your entire body all at once, so that if you miss a day of workout, 2 days of workout, 3 days or even 4 days of workouts, you'll be fine, because at least your body has already gotten that signal once a day. So big fan of full body workouts for busy people. And also another very stronger emphasis on stress management, learning to take some time off once a week, do something for yourself, rest, take it easy on yourself, recover, reset, go do something with the family, nothing too aggressive, don't try to overdo things, just stay still, go be in nature. Self-care is going to be really important in that age range. And also all the other rules that I've mentioned earlier about the second group of expats, which was avoid at all costs from skipping breakfast, stay hydrated, and take it easy on yourself, give yourself grace, because the reality is when you're in China and when you go from being a student to being a worker, there are so many additional responsibilities that gets added to your plate, and because of the way internet works, you don't realize that most of the fitness content and the health content and the nutritional content out there has not necessarily been made with you in mind. You who are a very busy person, a very social person, a very stressed person, someone who works for 8 to 10 hours a day, there are no specific content made for that person. The content that is out there, that is popular out there, is just the fact of saying, hey, eliminating carbs is good for weight loss. But we don't exactly know for who is it good to eliminate carbs, right? Hey, skipping breakfast is a good way to lose weight and to stay healthy. For who? It's never really told. But that's why I'm here to tell you, for you, the 3 different groups of people that I've mentioned today, the hacks in this video should be helpful for you. And obviously, guys, that was very surface level. Even if we spent about 40 minutes here on this video, I did not go deep into exactly the nitty-gritties of how exactly I help my clients. But if you've related to any of the hacks that I've given you today, if some of them resonated with you, and if you feel like you have gotten some golden nuggets out of these videos, and if you are in one of those groups, and if you feel like you have hit a wall in your journey, then I'm right here. You know where to find me, all right? Simply click the link in the description below, or find me on my WhatsApp or Wechat ID that I'll leave down there. Send me coach, and we'll have a quick chat for me to see exactly what are your challenges, what are your goals, and to see if I can help. All right? Thank you for watching. See you next time.